Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Brandy's Corner. It feels like it's been so long because it's been like 5 weeks since our March hangout where we got to kick it with some really rad players on the field, coaches off the field, and on the field. It was fantastic, but we're so excited to have you here tonight. I will keep it short and sweet. If you've been here before, you know the deal. This is the stage where we get to hang out with Brandy and speak to our panelists. Jump into the chat. Let us know where you're coming in and where you're joining us from. The other screen where we were is the floor. That's where you get to pop around to different tables. You double click to change tables and you can meet your fellow squad members or people that are joining in for Brandy's Corner for the first time and tell someone something about yourself that's memorable. We have some really rad women joining us today. They are empowering and thriving in male-dominated industries. So we are so excited to get some insights from them. Emily Jansen, Shiz Suzuki, Jessie Lebrecht, excuse me. I don't want to give too much away about them because you'll just learn more from them and what they're and themselves. They'll do some intro themselves. We also want to just give a quick shout out to the NWSL Challenge Cup that's ongoing, representing today. We're super excited for that. If you haven't tuned in, tune in with Paramount Plus. It's also streaming on Twitch if you're joining internationally. We're going to do a tutorial on how to really use Twitch, so stay tuned for that as well. But most importantly, jump in, enjoy Brandy's Corner, have a great time. We'll give people a few more minutes to pop in, and we'll talk to you in just a few minutes. Brandy will kick us off in a couple. Have a great time. Hi again, all. Me real fast. I just wanted to give a reminder to everyone that Women in Soccer and Brandy's Corner is a fully inclusive space. If you have any questions or are wondering if you're going to say the right thing or how to approach a situation, take a look at our inclusivity policy and our tips. I'll ping it in the chat as a quick reminder. We have some helpful things in there to make sure that everyone has a great time. Without further ado, Brandy, I hand it to you. Take it away.
Hello, Brandy's Corner group. It feels like forever, as Rachel said, because it's been 5 weeks and I've been missing you all and missing this opportunity for us to have a conversation about another great topic and to showcase some people who I believe are absolute game changers and impact players. And they no doubt are supporting other girls and women and males to have more inclusivity, to have more open minds, to see the world of sports in the way that we all should, which is a place for us all to be competitive, to challenge ourselves, to find friends, to be our best. So I am so thrilled, and I've said it to them already, a million thank yous for today. I do want to remind everybody of what we have accomplished so far on Brandy's Corner. We've spoken with Becky Burley. We did the DISC assessment, and it has come in handy so many times since that Brandy's Corner. I've used it with my youth soccer team. I've used it now. I'm starting coaching my high school boys team. And gosh, I'm gonna say a big thank you to Becky Burley for bringing that to Brandy's Corner, because it really has given me a reminder about the way I communicate to my players and the way I listen to the way they communicate and see things from their perspective. It's been awesome. So I hope you will go back and take a look at that Brandy's Corner if you weren't there. And if you are, revisit it and see how it can help you. Secondly, Erica Harris, and she asked us all to do homework. And I'm going to share with you that the homework was to answer, where can you make change? And this has been a really tough year for myself and my teenage son in the online learning, being at home, trying to be the principal, the teacher, the mother, sometimes the friend, and it's been really hard. And so my where can you make change has been really in trying to be better in this space, and I have not been good. I've not been good. I tell myself I'm going to try, and just this week, I think I had a breakthrough. So I want you all to know that change is possible. We talked about change, how it's uncomfortable, how it makes us feel. And, today my son is trying out for freshman soccer, and I couldn't be more proud. I don't care if he makes the team. And it's been a great week. So I'm building from there, and that's where my homework has been. And I'm trying to make change in that space. So I hope you all embrace the opportunity for change, and think about your homework. Where can you make change? And then go for it. Thinking back to Cece, Vero, Freya, and the stories they told about growing up, and the battles that they had, trying to make their way in clearly what's going to come up tonight, which is that male-dominated space in football. And, whether they were from Brazil, from England, or from Spain, they had similar experiences. And so the battles that they've gone through, the things that they've done, those are really important for all of us to remember that, we're not going to get to wherever it is we want to go, maybe the first time, maybe not even the second time, but we have to find our resolve, and we got to find our courage and our grit, and we have to find those that support us in our endeavors, who will tell us the honest things, not just the things we want to hear. And so it is with great delight tonight that we have Emily Jansen, we have Shiz Suzuki, we have Jessie Lebrec, all three, if I dare say so, badass women on this platform. And I am looking forward to all of them. Really, I want them to be able to introduce themselves, because I've been introduced a lot, and I don't want to take any thunder, and I want to make sure that their stories are told as authentically as possible. And so I would love to invite them to the stage now, so you can all see them and meet them. I will do a small intro that Emily is the general manager for the AAA Reno Aces baseball team, not far from me. And, that is a new frontier for women. Shiz Suzuki is at AT&T. She heads the sponsorship department and fun new activities and activations for AT&T. And she's crushing it. And look at her. I call her the pit bull with lipstick. She's like phenomenal. And then we have Jessie Lebrec, who is an American Ninja Warrior. And if you are not a watcher, I'm telling you right now, you better watch, because it is for real, and she is phenomenal. And all of you, thank you very much for coming tonight and being here and sharing this time with all of us. I will start with, how about we start with Emily, since that was the order we went in. And if you have any connection to soccer, Emily, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you can share that for anybody. All right? Awesome.
Hi, so delighted to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Like many of you, Brandi was an idol of mine growing up, playing youth soccer, youth travel soccer, and then going on to play for half a second in college. When I first met Brandi, I told her I was at the game at Soldier Field, 1999, the women's game, and that was the first time I had seen women's professional soccer live, and it was incredible. My dad took me to the game, and one of my best friends from my club team, her dad took her. And so that was a representation, I think, of allyship of men. Our dads bringing us to that game, and it was just such a special moment for me in my soccer career and in my life. But fast forward to today, I am the general manager of the Reno Aces. We're the AAA affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And when I earned this position in 2018, I was the first woman to be a GM in AAA baseball in nearly 20 years. And I'm happy to tell you today, I am not alone. There are two other phenomenal women who are in the same position for their clubs. And one of the most important things that has happened to me since taking this position is really stepping into a leadership role for women in sports. I didn't understand what that would be or what that could be until I earned this spot. And now I know part of my purpose, not only to kick ass at my job so that others have the opportunity, not only to lead my team forward and make sure that everybody who works for me is successful, but it's to lead women forward. And I feel like one of the best ways to do that is to create visibility for women who are absolutely crushing it in their sports careers. And so in the last year, I started a podcast, Leadership is Female, where I can help to amplify those voices, tell those stories, and share with women and men just how many incredible females are out there making wonderful contributions in all sports.
Well, Emily, I can't tell you, I'm sorry that you came to that. I'm not sorry you came to the game in Chicago at Soldier Field, but I'm sorry that the game started off with a bit of a scare, because we went down 1-0 to Nigeria, and that was a big wake-up call. So sorry for putting you on the edge of you and Shannon Noble. I see you in the chat that you also enjoyed that game as your first game. So that was quite a memorable evening.
Well, you came back and crushed it.
The goals came
Yes.
fast and swift after that, but that was a very scary night. So awesome. Thank you, Emily, so much. Shiz, what's up?
Yes, hello. Good to see everyone. Brandi, thank you so much for having me. It is so exciting to be here. So I am Shiz. I oversee all of sponsorships and experiential marketing at AT&T. It's a pretty robust, what we call a portfolio. So it's basically a collection of all types of assets that a company will have a partnership with or a relationship with in order for, from a marketing perspective, right? So I'm really proud of the fact that we've got a pretty robust portfolio that cuts across everything from golf. If there's any golf fans out there, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the Masters.
I've played it 3 times.
Woo!
Come on.
Love it. I love it. We've got, we've got a couple athletes under our belt as well. The NBA, the WNBA, Major League Soccer, the U.S. national women's team. Woo! and also some non-sports assets as well. So we've got, call it, a whole array of properties that we, manage, what have you. A lot of people will ask, well, what does that actually entail, right? Because I have a lot of friends that are like, yeah, right, Shiz, you go to a lot of games and drink a lot of beer. And the reality is, yeah, I know. I'm like, no, it's not quite that. No, the reality is it's a very much so thoughtful approach in terms of what types of properties, do you go into a relationship with? And there's a lot of data and analytics that go behind that. And then from that point, it's about, once you identify properties that you want to, align with your company's brand, then it's about the negotiations, right? It's about landing in the right price points, what have you. It is about the property management and the relationship management that you have with that property long term. It's about, how do you bring that to life for your company and your brand from an experiential perspective, from an activation perspective. So there's, call it a pretty, 360 approach that we take in terms of the sponsorships that we do. And what I'm really proud of, so I've been in this role for 3 years. I am not your traditional sponsorships lead, certainly not for a company and a portfolio of this size. I actually grew up, call it, within AT&T. I've done a lot of different jobs. I've managed call centers. I've managed technicians out in the field. I was actually a construction manager at one point in time, the only female at the time. And, I've kind of like gone through the ranks, and I've been really privileged to sit in this seat. And, we can talk about that journey later on. But anyways, yeah, I'm not your traditional person, and certainly you don't get traditional results when you put in non-traditional people and roles. So anyways, super excited to be here, and thank you.
Awesome, Shiz. Thank you so very much. And I do want to hit upon the non-traditional roles later during this conversation. So thank you. All right, Jessie.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I am Jessie Labreck. I'm known on American Ninja Warrior as Jessie Flex Labreck. I've been doing American Ninja Warrior. This is my 6th season. I think Brandi is going to get something that's going to embarrass me a little bit, but it's fine. I've been on American Ninja Warrior for months, and I am a general manager at Ultimate Ninjas, and I also am a partial owner at Ultimate Ninjas as well. I manage the kids program here. and the elite team, and kind of everything that encompasses kind of running the gym along with the kids program. Before American Ninja Warrior, I was a track athlete, Division I at the University of Maine. I did track for 13 years. Unfortunately, the only experience I have with soccer was the soccer coach begging me to try out my junior year because they found out I was fast. I got put on JV, and I decided that maybe that wasn't the route for me. So that's the only experience I had with soccer. I was like really good at track, and then but got put on JV, and I was like, I don't think so, but thank you. So yeah, so kind of my role right now with Ninja and my gym is I am working with the kids. I am kind of building that community at the level of 6 and up. Basically work with kids 6 to 18, and we work on community, sportsmanship, being a teammate, and being competitive in a sport that is really, really tough because you fall way more than you succeed. So yeah, so that's me. Excited to be here.
Well, I want everybody to know that I
thought you were kidding.
That I'm a Flex fan. And this is my other favorite one I made. Jessie is quite spectacular. Jess, listen, when I was a kid, before I started playing soccer, before soccer actually came to my neighborhood, I would climb to the top of the tree, or, climb up from the tree onto my roof and then jump into the pool. And, I was just active. And if there was American Ninja Warrior then, I probably would never have played soccer. That's probably the truth, because I just thought I found all kinds of activity really exciting, and it got me, moving, and I love falling down, I guess. Maybe that's why I ended up playing soccer, because my mom wanted me to play tennis. My grandfather wanted me to play golf, which I'm glad that now I do. But neither one of them were, this physical, confrontational kind of like get dirty kind of thing. And so I'm so happy that you're here today. And the conversation we had the other day about what you're doing to help encourage young athletes, boys and girls, as a leader, finding their self-esteem and building themselves up, and how to be a good teammate in the gym, and how that translates to other really great results in their life. We will absolutely talk about 100%. So out in the audience, I'm just going to call her out right now, is Tammy Powers. And Rachel, if you could get Tammy Powers just to come in for a moment, because I know that she won't be around for a long time. I mean, she's going to be around for a long time. Hold on, let me say that correctly. Tonight or today, she won't be around for a long time. I want to introduce Tammy, and I'm going to actually let her introduce herself in terms of all the things she does, because like these other women, she is really pushing the envelope and shifting the paradigm and bending the curve and all the other things that we use, phrases we use talking about women in non-traditional roles. So Tammy, thank you so much for coming, and please introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Brandi. And hi, Shiz. Hi, Emily. Hi, Jessie. Love this panel. I'm like, can't believe I'm in here with you guys, but that's amazing. My name is Tammy Powers, and I am the founder of Power Drive Motorsport Futures. And what that is I connect corporate brands to athletes in motorsports, female drivers, and together we are Motorsport Futures. And so during the pandemic, Brandi and I became pals. I don't even remember how. It was just, you wanted to see and talk to people every day, and you were just looking for answers or looking for connections and looking to curate your social circle. And Brandi and I sort of tripped on each other and found each other somewhere. And Brandi, thank you. You have led me through some pastures that I needed to be led through. Your inspiration to me, and like Shiz was talking about on LinkedIn yesterday, we remember where we were that day. And I remember I get chills every time I think about it, and you are just so awesome. And I don't think that you really understand how impactful you are to this day to people, from what happened that day. So I wanted to just reach out and tell you that, Brandi, you are so appreciated.
Goodness sakes, I
And
appreciate that.
you know, and some of my closest allies have said to me, she has no idea what she's up against with what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And that is fuel for me. That is what drives me. That and my 8-year-old, who is my biggest collaborator in Power Drive. And I slowly rolled it out in January because I saw a big gap and a big problem with getting women to the highest levels in motorsports. I looked around the world, I did the work, I did the research, I looked at the data, I looked at studies, and women are equal to men in race cars. The race car knows no gender.
Mm.
But what's happening is, and it's been happening for decades and decades and decades, if you watch the Janet Guthrie story called Qualified, it's a documentary, the same problem she had 40 years ago is still a big problem. And that's corporate brands aren't quite ready. That's what was mentioned in her documentary. And I looked around and it's still a big problem. So what I wanted to do was fill that gap, because what I found when I looked around the world this last year was a lot of great, talented athletes from all over the globe who dedicate their lives to this, to their sport, to their passion. And for the last 20 years I've been in motorsports, I have all these great relationships. I thought, I'm going to create something that solves this problem. It brings progress, right? It elevates women in male-dominated sports. And I slowly rolled it out in January, and I have never in my life gotten so much feedback and so much attention from corporations. Before my website's even up, before my business cards are printed, I've had 3 huge meetings with huge companies. And we're in the proposal stages of our conversation now. And you know, a friend of mine said to me, if you're going to do this, you have to go in 100%. You cannot have a single slice of doubt. And I had doubt, a little bit of doubt. It wasn't in the business, it wasn't in the business plan, it wasn't in the assets, it was in myself.
And you know what, Tammy, I'm gonna. That is such a great, important, and key component to all of this. And I'd actually put this out to Jesse, Emily, and Shiz to discuss this component. And you can open up your microphones and we can
Please
have this interaction, because I feel like this is something that has been a part of the landscape leading to this moment of us talking tonight. And, you know, the difference between our colleagues, our male colleagues, and women looking and searching for the thing that drives them, right? The passion in their heart, the fire in their belly. And yet we let doubt, we let not being perfect get in the way. And any comments, Emily, any comments, Shiz, please add them to this part of the conversation.
I just have to say, Tammy, like, your courage to step out on your own and to create this is really incredible, because I think, you know, it comes from this insight, certainly in your experience of being in that business. But then, you know, to take that leap is a whole different thing, right? And, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, there's all sorts of stats out there about women will only apply to a job if they qualify, what is it, like, I don't know, 90% of the job description, as opposed to men, where if it's like 40%, they'll apply and assume that they're going to get the job. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of, differences there. I know for myself in this role, like I mentioned, I'm not a traditionalist. I probably would have never applied for this job, by the way. I'm only sitting in it because another woman at the time, she was our chief brand officer, she had enough of she was courageous as well to take a chance on me. I'm really grateful that she did. And certainly it taught me a lesson about courageousness and hiring and making sure that we're doing that. ourselves. But, certainly I think it's that. It's sometimes, in this case for me, I may not have had that courage myself, but somebody else saw it in me that I maybe not have seen it. But Tammy, you took that leap on yourself. That's really incredible. Bravo.
Yeah. What you said, Shiz, about so many people around us see it in us and they lift it out of us. For me, it was a moment when my daughter was in her homeschooling class here, 20 feet away, my collaborator, my 8-year-old. And I heard the teacher, they were talking to the kids about what their parents do for a living. And my daughter said, my mommy helps girls be able to race cars with boys. And remember when my friend said, you can't have any doubt. If you have any doubt, your business is going to fail. And I went, that was it. That was it. I don't care if I get kicked in the mouth 300 times a day. I'm getting back up and I'm doing this. And that was that moment, like Shiz, like you talk about, it's like there's somebody that lifts the doubt out of you, right? It just literally lifts it out of you. And that was what happened with me, for sure.
Emily, go ahead. And then I'm going to add something to that.
Yeah. And I was going to say, for everybody out there who's feeling like, I don't have that power or I don't have that confidence, let me tell you, confidence is a skill set. It doesn't have to be something that you are born with. It's something that you can grow over time. Listen, when I was in high school, I couldn't call the local pizza place to order a pizza because I was too afraid to dial the phone. And one of my many jobs as GM of this baseball team is selling big partnership deals. And guess what that requires? Picking up the phone and calling people that you don't know. And confidence can be earned over time. It can be grown over time. You just have to make sure that you're fueling yourself. So to Tammy and Shiz's point, like, have some people around you to help lift you up or recognize that. But also you can go and seek that out on your own as well. Make sure if you're engaging in social media, are you following people who inspire you, like Jessie on our call today? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you consuming media that is telling you that you can be better, do better, achieve more, and here's how to do it? Don't surround yourself with the negative. That's not going to help you grow that confidence. And little by little over time, you can have a voice as loud as Shiz, a voice as loud as Tammy. Just don't compare your beginning to their middle or end, and just work day by day on yourself.
Awesome.
I would just like to add to that just a tiny bit, is like, I feel like that confidence too can be not faked, but like pushed a little bit. Like you push that envelope every single time, and eventually you have it within. Because I know that there were so many things that used to scare me when I was younger. I was an elementary school teacher, and then now this job, which I had 0 qualifications for. And so it's almost like I had to push it and be like, fake it on the outside until I felt it on the inside. So that's what happened to me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Jessie, you just hit on something that we used to use all the time with the women's national team, which was the fake it till you make it motto. Right. Because, and there's a lot of truth to it. And, you have to be able to look the part on the outside, even if you feel nervous on the inside. And that's okay. Like, I think having that nervousness or being, you want the best, right? So that's what nervousness to me is, it manifests itself because you care, not because you're not good enough, not because you can't do the job, not because you shouldn't be there. It's because you care. And that's what, otherwise you wouldn't have that feeling. That feeling would not exist. To Emily, to your point about social media and, what are you choosing to put on in your menu, and what's the diet that you're choosing to partake in? I like the part when you said, find the things that shares how to do it, not just, hey, have confidence, but how do you do it? And so for me, I think I want to share something that I have used through my career that has given me the how to do it part, which is this concept of being ready. You don't know when the opportunity is going to come. You don't know when the ball might bounce in a weird, funky way because it's got an extra spin on it. But if you're on the balls of your feet, the potential for a positive outcome is really, it exponentially grows higher and higher, right? So this concept of being ready. So to everybody that's on this call, the idea of being ready is maybe it's going over your notes before a big meeting. Maybe it's checking, I found a book today online that I'm interested in. Maybe doing a little reading, establishing a foundation that you won't move from, and saying, that's it, holding my ground, whatever it is that allows you to be in kind of that ready state. I watched Jessie perform on American Ninja Warrior, and, before she went to do, was it 13, Jessie? How many obstacles?
This time was only 6.
Six
Next
obstacles.
Yeah.
Next time will be 30. When, she takes this big, deep breath, kind of shake it out. And then it's like, that's maybe you're preparing. You might not even know you do it, or it's just, something that we practice. So this idea of being ready, because I have a job now with City Cheers in a tech startup. I had no idea this is what I was going to be doing 1 year ago. And being open to the opportunity in that ready state, as Shiz knows, because she just said she would never have applied for the position she has, the willingness to be open and vulnerable in the ready state, I think, is something that we can all do. Is it scary? Hell yeah. It's going to be scary sometimes, but that's okay, because who knows the person you'll be on the other side of that. And to me, that's worth the risk as far as I see it. Everybody? Yes? Awesome. Okay, Emily, tell us the story about how sometimes your position has not been known by other people in the room, and kind of what that has been like.
Yes, the mistaken identity. Obviously I'm a woman, and I'm in a man's world. And sometimes that means there's assumptions on what my job might be, or what I may or may not do for the team. Maybe I'm the secretary, maybe I run the team store, various other jobs other than I'm the boss or the general manager. So a couple of years ago, I went on a partnership meeting with one of our staff, and he is a tall young man. And we walk into a local car dealership, and we're meeting with their general manager. And at the time, my title was not GM. I was vice president with the company. And I walk in next to him, and the car dealership owner looks past me and at him and says, "So great you brought your secretary with today to take notes." And I just was, I kind of took a couple of steps back, like, whoa. Actually, my name is Emily Jansen. I'm the vice president of corporate partnerships here, and I'm here to help, come to an agreement with you and help this guy through the deal. And he took a couple of steps back at that declaration. And, we found our even pace after that encounter, but it was awkward for everybody that he had made that assumption and got us start off on the wrong foot. So it was after that meeting that I took a step back and thought, okay, this is like not going to be the last time this happens to me in my career. So what can I do moving forward to make sure that we're productive when we have these big meetings, this doesn't happen to that person, this doesn't happen to me. And so one of the tools that I use is the business card. I feel like business cards have a sole purpose for this alone. And that is to walk in, again, thinking about your confidence, thinking about what is your outward appearance. Are you standing tall? Are your shoulders back? Like, are you just ready to rock? Are you prepared for the meeting? And have that business card at the ready. So I have it in my hand, and I walk in and I present the card to the person, tell them who I am, what my title is, give them the card, shake their hand. And so there's no time for an assumption to be made, and I can take the lead from the beginning. So that is my tip to all of you for that mistaken identity. And also, don't be afraid to correct somebody if they make an incorrect assumption about you. It's awkward the first time. But after that, you get in your groove and you deserve to be known and recognized for the position that you've earned within the company.
Absolutely. That is, I love that story. And I'm really glad it wasn't me, because I probably would have been all up in that guy's face, not in a bad way, but in the way you said, like, I'm the vice president, and I know sometimes you've never met a vice president in baseball before, but this is what they look like, and or can look like. And so I get, I'm looking forward. I look forward to moments like that, to have the awkward yet kind of revelation moment, to be honest with you, because I think that kind of it does catch people off guard. But then I think we have to own that moment in a really positive manner, in a way that doesn't shame the person to, and that they can come out and going like, okay, I apologize. Thank you for letting me know. And now we're on to whatever it is we're doing. Shiz, you have something, you have a similar-esque story about the suits and the
I do.
The dudes in the room.
The dudes in the room, yeah. And yeah, certainly it's a similar one for sure. So this is back in 18. AT&T, we had just gotten into esports and gaming, and I was really proud of the fact that for years there were other men in my role who had tried to make it happen. They couldn't get it to work. I came in, and in about 6 months we made it happen. We had a really large gaming company come to us, a very large deal. And they had reached out to one of our senior vice presidents, head of our content at the time. And the head of content was like, I don't know anything about gaming and esports, so Shiz, I need you to come join me for this meeting. I want you to be there when we take this pitch. And I said, sure thing. So here we are, we're up in the boardroom here in LA, and I was first. I beat Dan to the room, and so there were about, I don't know, a dozen men all in suits. And I was like, wow, they didn't bring a single woman to the table. That was kind of shocking. But, so they kind of ignore me. Like, I walk into the room, they kind of, they didn't really acknowledge me. So whatever, I go, I sit down, and they were all talking amongst themselves. And one of them finally looked up. I later realized I had to look him up. He's the CEO of this company anyway. So he says to me, he's like, hey, do you know where the coffee is? Like, can you get me a cup of coffee? And I'm sure whatever the look on my face was must have just been like complete disgust.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Was this 1950?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Just checking.
No, 19. And so I think I saw somebody's comments in here as well about coffee, but and so I was just like, well, listen, I said, if you need a cup of coffee, you can go back down to the cafeteria in the basement and go get one, right? Like, I guess. And he was kind of like taken aback by that. Dan walks into the room, all 12 get up, right? It's like, everybody stand up. It's like the bride just walked into the room, and they of course shake his hand and blah, 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 blah. And we all sit down, right? So then Dan says to the group, y'all are not really here to see me. You're here actually to see Shiz. She oversees sponsorships. She knows the gaming stuff. You're here to see her. And they're kind of like, oh, well, the coffee guy isn't getting it. So they start off on this pitch. It's a 90-minute pitch. Oh my gosh, we never take 90-minute pitches. Anyways, this guy starts off, and he's only looking at Dan, right? He keeps addressing Dan, and I finally got irritated. And so I just jumped in. Heavy hitting questions, industry demo, like you name it. Like usually sometimes I'll kind of play nice and I kind of let him finish. I didn't even bother. I just jumped in. I'm like, hey, we need to understand this. We need to understand this. And at the very end of it, when we finally all got up to say our goodbyes, finally this time they were shaking my hand, and the CEO guy comes over and he shakes my hand and he says, you really know your stuff, don't you? And I said, why would you have thought anything different, right? This was supposed to be a 8-figure deal, and we didn't do it. We did not do it.
That is awesome.
It's like you put your money where your mouth is, right? And listen, if something doesn't feel right, I mean, at the base of a sponsorship, you've got to align in terms of, whether it be ethics or just the foundation elements of like cultural principles, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't agree on that, doesn't matter how good the product is, you can't do the deal. So
right on, sister. Jessie, your environment, we talked about, the how many male athletes and what do women athletes look like in this space, and how many female athletes are involved, and maybe you can share something around maybe it's the look, the feel, the integration of women into Ninja Warrior gyms. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So I feel very, very fortunate in the community that I'm in. With American Ninja Warrior, it started very small, and it was I don't know of any women actually in the very, very beginning that actually did Ninja Warrior. And so it started with a very small group of guys. It wasn't even televised. It was, whatever. This really started super small, and then it grew into what it is now. And as it's grown, more and more women have taken to American Ninja Warrior. It really picked up huge when Casey Catanzaro in season 6, she had a finals buzzer. And that's really when I even found out what American Ninja Warrior was. I wasn't watching it on TV. It popped up on my Facebook feed. Some people had like tagged me in it and said, you would be awesome at this. And I was like, well, I'm doing track. There's no upper body in track, so I would probably be terrible at it, but okay. And then from then it has grown more and more women all the time. The people in this community are the most supportive people that I've ever been around. It's extremely welcoming. Everyone is supporting each other. And the guys, when you come into this community, no one underestimates anybody. So I feel so fortunate with the people that I am with, to the point where they try to push me too hard sometimes, where I'm like, no, you don't understand. I can't do that yet. And they're still trying to make me do it. Between my fiance and my friends and whatever, they're like trying to make me do something. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. So it is that supportive. So I feel extremely lucky in that sense. Even with the show, NBC, American Ninja Warrior, they have even created different rules within American Ninja Warrior to try to guarantee that more and more females will continue to qualify, and more females will be able to tell their story on the show, qualify into further episodes, into Vegas, and then from then on. They do it so that way it still keeps the ethics of the show, or the rules of the show, where you still have to do a certain amount of stuff to win the $1 million at the end, but it at least guarantees that more females will be able to continue on to tell their stories. There's, whether you qualify in the top 5 or the top 2, they didn't have those rules when I first started, so they wanted to figure out a way to guarantee where more women were going to be able to be shown. So obviously I've had those cases. I am a female. I've always had those cases where someone doesn't think you're strong enough, or think you can do this, or I'm a manager at the gym, so I get times where, being a younger female manager at the facility, people will come in and think that they can walk all over me, and they can't. And so I've been pretty good about sticking to my guns with that kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a learning curve at first. Yes. But parents and things like that come in, and they just I feel very thankful with most parents, because of the TV show. They might know who I am, and so they're nicer to me because of that. But then you get those people that aren't, and so I have had to really stick to my guns sometimes, because I'm the younger female. They think they can walk over you. But anyway, I just feel very fortunate in this community with the support of everyone. Even though it was quite male dominant in the beginning, it's becoming more and more and more women all the time. It still is more men than women, but I feel very fortunate that it has been so, everyone has been, it's just such a great community.
Well, I'm going to, if there was a vote to be had, I would vote for American Ninja Warrior to get their cultural business model to everybody in the world, so that everybody is, on this welcome in kind of attitude. You come through the door and it's, what are your best qualities? Bring your best self, influence our space. the culture is really phenomenal. And we'll talk about that actually when we come back. But it's time. I'm a little bit behind. So it's time for us to spread out and meet some folks in the breakout tables. And then we'll all come back. You know, let's find some great stories out there and let's share some experiences. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Brandi.
All right. Thank you. Tammy, thank you. Okay. I am having so much fun. I hope everybody else is too. Just, you know what? I love good people. I'm not going to lie. I find greatness everywhere. I really think it comes in unique packages. I'm not the kind of person who says that it can't exist over there because tonight has been a real bucket filler for me after a good day. So I am super jazzed. And now that we have everybody coming back to here, if there's any story that came up in any of your breakouts, Emily and I were in the same one. So I actually right away, Rachel, I would like to call Brittany to come to the platform because she has decided to do something in a male-dominated space in football, as we know, soccer, in Spain. And so I'm curious to hear how she has been embraced, not embraced, what she's done. And basically just, you know, maybe somebody else can glean some knowledge off you in this way. So Brittany, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Apologies for me and my appearance right now. It's 1:30 in the morning, but I'm so thrilled I stayed up for this and just can't believe I'm up here with all of you incredible women. Yeah, thanks for inviting me up. Essentially, I'm from the DC area. I relocated to Spain permanently 5 years ago. I'm in southern Spain, in Sevilla, the capital of southern Spain. And here they still think that soccer, football is for boys. And I grew up playing my whole life. And I know that in my personal and professional life still, I'm using skills that I gained playing the game and, you know, interacting with teammates and coaches. And so to me, it's not only infuriating to hear that girls aren't strong enough or fast enough, but it's also infuriating for me to see parents who don't understand that enrolling their girls in a soccer program could be beneficial forever for them. So I launched Futbolistas without a clue of anything entrepreneurial or anything back in September 2019. And we've hit a little bit of a road bump with COVID just because restrictions here have been really intense, especially on recreational programs versus competitive ones. But prior to COVID, in just 2 seasons, we had 30 girls involved, and we can't quite officially announce yet, but are very close to confirming a partnership with one of the professional clubs in the city, which is just going to help us obviously impact a lot more girls if we have their marketing power behind us and potential, you know, introductions to their sponsors, just help getting fields. I mean, I'm really looking forward to all of the opportunities and a very strong full bounce back for a 21-22 school year. So we'll see. Oh, I think you're muted, Brandi. At least I can't hear you.
Sorry, my fault. In terms of what has been the biggest hiccup and what has been the biggest win?
Oof, gosh, biggest hiccup. It feels like a little bit of a story still when I tell it. So we got started. I launched a crowdfunding campaign right alongside the Women's World Cup the summer of 2019. Timing was perfect, obviously, because people are thinking about girls soccer. I hadn't told anyone back home that I was starting this business. It worked out well. Super successful crowdfunding. 2 weeks before the end of the crowdfunding, 2 months before our first practice, I literally broke my leg. Like, I have never broken a bone in my life. And sure enough, playing soccer, actually celebrating with my little team that I found here the day that the US won the 2019 World Cup. We were just playing a pickup game, broke my leg, and I'm like, I now cannot coach for these first practices. Like, what am I going to do? And so that was by far just the most unexpected challenge. But I think was great because it, immediately pushed me out of my comfort zone and kind of got me used to the fact that I would really never have control of what's going on when you're, starting a business or initiative. And I don't know, it just got me more comfortable, I think, looking for potential collaborations, asking for help.
Awesome.
So it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, as crazy as it was.
Brittany, thank you so much for joining us this late early morning for you. And buena suerte.
Muchas gracias. You're an inspiration, Brandi, and Emily, Jesse, and Shiz, you guys as well. Just really thank you for inviting me up here to chat.
You got it. You got it. Any Jesse or Shiz, any other stories or of anybody that was on your table that you'd like to share with us, or anybody you'd like to call attention to? If not, I have someone.
I do too, because I was at a different table before that one.
Oh, then you can go right ahead, Em.
Okay, Lydia from Cyprus. She is with the ladies football club, and she was actually just nominated for an award today. So to take this moment for her to tell us what that is and acknowledge and recognize her.
Yeah, Lydia, let's do it.
Yeah, sorry it's dark here. Let me put some.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning there, Lydia.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yeah, I just got nominated by UEFA. They are doing the Choose to Challenge campaign, and they're choosing women's working football in Europe. And yeah, I was just so honored to be there besides so many amazing women. And yeah, as we heard, Spain is a sport for guys, and Cyprus is not different. I mean, I feel the only place soccer is for girls in the United States. The rest of the globe is still a sport for guys. So yeah, it has been really cool to be in this journey here and just be able to connect with the players. This is my favorite things, and I feel having the respect from and the connection, friendships I've made is what matter most. And of course, I couldn't get this nomination if it wasn't through this relationship with them.
Well, you know what? I leadership comes in many shapes and forms, and it doesn't always look the same, or nor does it sound the same. And I think it also can be spontaneous, right? So I think, you're being recognized not because you set out to be this leader or change maker, but because you're doing the thing that, one, you love so much, and two, I think because it fills the buckets for you. And just like you said, the friendships and the relationships you're making are making a huge difference. So in terms of your Choose to Challenge, is that been broadcasted today? Where will we see your picture up in lights? I mean, you with some big trophy. Can you send us a picture or something to Women in Soccer so we can share it with a broader population? Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think Rachel just posted the link over there, and also is in like all the social medias of UEFA. So
awesome.
So yeah.
Well, congratulations, Lydia. It's nice to see you again, as always. You are such a champ. You stay up late to join us, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Emily, for pointing it out.
Yeah, it's not hard to join you guys. I love what you're doing. So thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Excellent. Jesse or Shiz? Anyone in your table?
Barely, we had just gotten through intros. It was such a short period of time.
I know. Okay, well, how about this? We will we'll move on. That's fine, no problem. And maybe we will also get to some other folks to bring them to the platform. But let's Jesse, if you can tell us, I think self-confidence can be, as I think, as Emily said, we can grow this, right? We can learn it. I believe also that at the younger ages, we're more pliable, right? We're like pieces of clay. Kids are like, they absorb the things that are around them, and whether those are good or bad things. And so how are you molding the kids in your gym? Because I think some of the things you talked about would be helpful for us as adults, even though we're a little more rigid, but could be helpful.
Sure. Yeah. So we start at, like I said, we have ages 6 and up here. And the number one thing that we teach to like our normal class is just like, if you fall, it's okay. You pick yourself back up and we try again. When we do our stations for obstacles, we get, I have like 12 to 15 minutes on the station. So the kids get lots of different tries. If kids can't do something on an obstacle, we dial it down so that we find a way where they're still doing something to make them feel successful when they're leaving. I talk about that all the time with my coaches is like, I don't need the kid to complete every obstacle in the gym. I need them to feel better about themselves when they leave, feel successful, and that they had a good time. Sometimes the kids they fall all over the place. Kids are falling all the time. And I'm like, hey, did you have a fun class today? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, good. So that's like what we're striving for, is that they're learning that it's okay to fail at something as long as you have a good attitude about it and you pick yourselves back up. Another example is last night we have an elite team here. So we have kids that try out for a team. They have to get a certain amount of points. They have to be good role models. They have to be good sports, and that's how they make the team. We had a kid last night where he is the youngest kid in the older kids team because he was so good on the younger team that I had to move him up so he would still get challenged. So he's only 10. All the other kids are 13, 14, 15 years old. He's really good. But he couldn't get an obstacle last night that everyone else was getting. And that's really hard for him because he can do almost all of the obstacles. Anything we put in front of him, he can do it. But this one is a little scary for him. So he couldn't do it. So he got very, very upset. And so the next time around, I tried to really talk him up. I was like, you can do this. You got to believe in yourself. I'm right here. I'll make sure you don't get hurt, whatever. And he still failed. And so sometimes when I pump them up a little too much, it makes the fall even harder for them. And I was like, ooh, did I do that? And so he got even more upset. So I went over and I had a chat with him about how even though he is the youngest kid in his group, that there are kids that are still looking up to him. And it's okay to be upset. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to feel bad not doing something, but it's also okay to be strong about it. So that way, when the older kids are looking at them and they fail that same thing, they think, okay, he just failed that, but he was strong about it. And so I can be strong about it too. And I can get back up and I can try it again. And so it's just like reiterating that all the time because they forget. They're kids. They get upset. They feel bad for themselves. They get down on themselves. They expect too much. And so we remind them of that all the time, is that it's okay to fall, and it's it's okay to not be at your best all the time as long as you get back up and you keep trying. And to just know that they're always being role models. They're always being watched by somebody. And so to be a good role model for those other kids.
That is awesome. Hey, Jessie, are we close to the time that
Yeah, we have about 3 minutes and the course will be clear. There's still going to be some music going on because we'll have some adults and stuff like that, but we still have kids on the course for about another 3 minutes.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask Shiz a question about what you've said, and I'm going to put a name to it and talk about allyship, because what it is you talked about, Jessie, I believe, is allyship. And Shiz, so how do you work with allies, and what does that look like, and how can we bolster allyship?
I think allyship just comes in many shapes and forms, and sometimes it comes where you least expect it, and sometimes you have to also, sometimes you have to ask for it too. So I think it comes in different forms. Right now, my immediate supervisor, he oversees all of the media buys as well as sponsorships, and he has a very long and storied career in the sports industry where, you go anywhere with him and everybody knows who he is. And so for me, coming in brand new, it was a really intimidating thing. And I know, we've kind of talked a little bit about confidence and, and sometimes it's just fake it till you make it. And there's been many moments of me doing that. And, so it's about I didn't have to ask with him. He just organically knew, I want to take you under my wing. And he just kind of did that. And so whenever we'd go places, and we're talking to movers and shakers in the broadcast, entertainment, sports industry, you name it. I mean, big names. And he's like, guys, he's like, you don't really, he's like, you're really not here to, and he says guys, because it literally is all guys, but he's like, guys, like, you're really not here to see me. He's like, he's like, I want you to meet Shiz. I really want you to meet Shiz. And so that encouragement, like little things like that matter. It makes a difference. Another thing once, early on in this role, I said something to him about like feeling a bit uncomfortable. I'm like, everyone. And I was like, and I know just a few people. And he's like, Shiz, he goes, all of us. He's like, all of us that have been around for a long time, he's like, we're going to be gone. He's like, and so what you need to do is make your relationships with the people that you work with today. He's like, don't psych yourself out because you don't know a lot of the, he calls them, he's like us old fogies, right? He's like, focus on the people that you work with today. He goes, because in a very short period of time, y'all are going to be the ones running this business. And I thought, wow, right? Like that was such a nice thing for him to say. I take that one with me all over, but so you just never know. So that's my boss. I've got a director, somebody who reports to me on my team, who's been in this industry a lot longer than I have. And certainly he reports to me. However, he's been really great about, driving, call it the work that we do in gender equality. Actually, I have a male running that for me with a lot of other females. So it's part of this balance, right? I've got women who run esports, I've got men who run gender equality. And, and he has been an ally, not just for myself, but for the many people on his team as well. And so bringing opportunities, speaking opportunities, events like this, platforms like this are really important. So, yeah, I think it's just, you find allies in different places that you just never expect. And if you're not finding them, sometimes you got to ask for them. That's okay too.
So I think that's a call to action for everybody to take home as a homework, right? Action item, which is find an opportunity to be an ally to someone, and then find allyship somewhere else. And we have a question in our Q&A, says, how can I as a male be a better ally? So if you have any comment about that, or Emily, same for you, Jesse, same for you, please go ahead and answer what you believe that could look like.
I think my quick example would be going back to what I just spoke about in terms of introductions. Like if you're with somebody, introduce them, pull out the proverb. I mean, listen, you want, a lot of men will like to open doors for you. Let's literally open other doors, right? Not just the physical doors, but opportunities, it's introductions, things of that nature.
Listening to the females is a good one. Is that sometimes I feel like I talk and I am not listened to, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, and great points by everybody. And there's also an action item, 2 action items that male allies can take as well. One, if you're asked to be a speaker or on a panel at some industry event, consider inviting somebody else, a more diverse candidate potentially to take that spot, or join you on the stage and lend a more panel of more diverse voices. And then the other one, just coming off of the month of March with Women's History Month, it doesn't end there. So it's wonderful. And I know so many women are so appreciative of the support and stories that were shared in the month of March, but let's not let it end with just that 1 month celebration. It should be 365 that we're seeing the praises of all of our colleagues. And that's for women who are allies of men and men who are allies of women. Don't work within the constraints of a holiday. And Shiz, as you were talking, I have a couple of different studies on diversity on my desk, and I was like searching through the pile because, some of the things you were saying reminded me of these statistics, and I'm trying to share them everywhere I can because I think they're just so impactful. I mean, the proof is in the data, and companies with gender and or culturally diverse executive teams were 21% to 35% more likely to outperform the competition. This was a study by McKinsey in 2018. And another study showed that diverse teams made superior decisions up to 87% of the time, twice as fast and with half the number of meetings. So for us who work in corporate environments, twice as fast and half the number of meetings, sign me up for that.
That's awesome.
And
that is awesome.
85% of household purchase decisions are made by women, and half the population is women. I mean, so, it makes complete business sense as to why, companies should, and certainly to your point, right, that productivity, the benefits of are so clear, because if you've got a workforce that is representative of your customer base, you will organically create products and services that relate better to that customer base. And certainly you'll create messaging or advertising that relates to them. If another homework assignment is the Dick's Sporting Goods, their most recent campaign, they have a new female CEO, and holy cow, I gotta say, I so admire her and what they are doing in terms of what they're messaging and how they're changing the game for sporting goods stores. I'm so impressed.
They're putting up action shots of women, not just modeling yoga outfits.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, they've got their entire, most of their executive team, I think, is made up of women, and the messaging on it is incredible. I'll be curious to see how the changes are seen in store, for sure.
Yes. Okay. We're all going to have, Rachel, I don't know if you want to make Jesse's screen the biggest, but we're going to get an experience here. We don't know what she's going to do, but it's going to be something that is going to inspire me to probably fall down a lot. Jesse, thank you very much for that.
Oh, hold on, stay right here. So I'm going to have one of my athletes is going to hold the camera for me, and it's a computer, so she has to face it the other way, so I hope it works out. This obstacle is a little loud, so if you want to turn down your speakers just a tiny bit. This is our gym behind me. I'm going to try to do the salmon ladder. Talk about fake it till you make it. Just a little, my heart's just pounding a little bit. It's fine. No big deal.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
So you guys want to see one more? We can do the wing nuts.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, come this way. Caitlin, I'm going to do the wing nuts really quick.
This is like Disneyland. If I was a kid, this would have been my Disneyland.
Yeah, that's good.
My gosh, this place is amazing.
I know, this is where I work, guys.
No,
cool.
This is crazy. Oh, look at this. Whoa! Okay, I've got it, Jesse. I think what we need to do is have a road trip of women in soccer to your gym.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And we have the warped walls.
Oh my gosh. How tall is the tallest one?
14 feet.
And what's the distance you get to run up to it?
I would say like 10 feet, 12 feet. So we have more here, but on the show, like we have a big distance where you can run, but on the show, it's a lot shorter. Okay,
how many pull-ups or finger grabs do you think you've done in your training? Like,
oh God.
Give me a number. Millions?
No, a lot.
I
don't know. Yeah. I don't love pull-ups. Probably like one of the few ninjas that really hates pull-ups. I'd rather do the actual obstacle. But yeah, lots, thousands of pull-ups probably.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those two incredible skills. The salmon ladder, what's the most difficult part? Keeping the bar, both arms square so it can fit into the, you're on mute.
Probably the powerful pull-up of it is the hardest part, because normally when you pull up, it's pretty slow and static. But when you do the salmon ladder, it's kind of like a power clean where you have to pull it so fast that you have time in the air to be able to pull the bar out and around.
Ah, good. And you, in your hands were like that.
They're switched because the bar is free spinning. And so if you have it forward grip, you have to use so much more grip to prevent the bar from spinning and rolling out of your hands. So if you switch your grip, the bar can't spin. I learned that after my first year.
that is something that they don't commentate on. I've never heard that said before. That is very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of little techniques with ninja that separate you from, the newer people.
Right.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is. What's your favorite obstacle?
The two I probably just showed you, the salmon ladder and the wing nuts and the warped wall, because of my track background. The warped wall comes pretty easily to me, so that one for sure. It's like the first obstacle I could do.
And you're tall.
Yeah, I'm almost 5'8".
Yeah, so that gives you a nice advantage over someone like Casey is a like gymnast, right? So she was shorter.
And she was only she's only 5 feet tall, and she was able to get that wall. The wall, we've have all these gyms now around the country, so people have gotten so much better at the different obstacles. So at that time, she didn't have a warp wall to practice on all the time, so it was even harder back then. But now we have them to practice all the time, so we've gotten better and better at those staple obstacles.
That is so cool. How cold is the water? That's what I want to know.
Oh, and it depends where you are, but I've been in Cleveland and Indianapolis 2 different times where I fell in the water, and it's like shockingly cold, where you come out and you're just like, but then when we're in Vegas, it's 100 degrees out. So when you hit the water, it more feels good than, it's shockingly cold. So
every time I watch the show and I see a ninja fall into the water, and then they have to stand there and wait for the interview, I'm thinking that is not fun. Number one, you've fallen into the water, so you're pissed about the fact that you didn't complete the obstacle course. But then you've fallen into what I'm sure is cold water, and then you have to stand there.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty torturous.
Awesome. Well, that is so phenomenal. I thank you. So, excuse me. Now, in your gym, what's the biggest thing that people overcome? Like, let's say the adults, you say you have adults coming in. Is there a difference between the things that you do with the kids and the adults in your gym?
Yes, I would say especially the women adults that first come in. This is something I did talk about with the group that when we broke off is a lot of the women will come in and they'll be intimidated by the obstacles. The place is huge. There's obstacles everywhere. There's people flying around, and they're like looking at it and thinking, okay, I can't even swing on the monkey bars yet. So it can be very intimidating. So that's why we have such a welcoming community, is because we know how intimidating it can be and how it felt when we first walked in, and how you need those people to support you to just get started in this community. So yeah, I would say it's so tough. It's so tough.
And can you speak to this a body image, because every ninja is different?
Yes, and I feel like I've gotten so much better about it in the last couple of years. I don't feel like I'm not that like typical person where like I genetically like have abs and am like just like popping out of whatever. I have really grown to however my body looks when I feel the strongest and I'm able to get through my obstacles. That's how my body's going to look, and that's just what it is. And so it's taken some time, but I know that I can't look at other ninjas and other females and think, okay, well, I want my body to look like that, because if my body did look like that, then I might not be able to perform as well on the obstacles as I can right now.
That is cool. So, and that Rachel, I don't know if this is the right time to go to the next breakout session, but maybe that we can talk about that, when you felt underestimated, or when you even yourself were the person who underestimated yourself. What did that look like, and how did you get out of that? If we could share some of that, that would be great. And then we could all come back together, because there's probably stories that we haven't heard yet. And then sadly, we'll have to say goodnight to each other at some point. But if we could themselves everywhere else. And Sean, if you can share, I asked the question, has anybody been uplifted in their life by a woman? And Sean said, what did you say, Sean? I'm going to let you speak it. You're on mute.
I said, yes, ma'am, every day. I work for a nonprofit that is women founded and women led. The majority of our staff are women. My team is composed of all women. The person I report to is a woman. And it's been such a great experience, because I come from working for about 15 years in the professional sports industry. And I did not have the opportunity and luxury of, collaborating and working with a lot of different women. So to have this has been a very much welcome change of pace for me. And, I think particularly over the last year or so is where I've really been inspired by them, because obviously the pandemic has had a lot of drastic effects on all of our lives. And they did a great job of, one, not only being able to let us continue our mission of serving kids throughout the country, but also taking care of the staff and ensuring that we are all still functioning both in terms of our professional lives and our personal lives, and just to see not only their creative thinking, but just the way they went about caring for people as humans, and helping us through this pandemic has been awesome.
Well, if that is not an example and a reality about what women can bring to the darn table, I don't know if I could say it any better. So, Sean, thank you so very much for sharing. And I'm gonna ask you one more question, Jesse and Shiz, because in May on the 19th we're having a job fair, and if you could share a piece of advice for those looking for a position, or entry, whether that's entry level or more senior, what would it be? What advice would you give?
Always negotiate your salary.
Oh,
always.
I am writing that down.
Negotiate. And I got to say, I've learned that the hard way throughout my time in my career. You read it all the time, right? You read all those statistics of the fact that women are most likely not to negotiate. I got to say, if you don't, like if I'm hiring somebody and they don't negotiate, I'm kind of disappointed, right? And you've now left money on the table. You should never, ever, ever do that. So, do your research in terms of what competitors, what people are paying, right? So get a level set for yourself, and then shoot higher. Put a number out there that might make you a little uncomfortable, especially if that's within the range of what others are compensating, and put that out there. And by the way, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking for anyone. I've been coaching a friend who's going through a job search process right now, and she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I use this analogy. If my husband can hear me, he's going to laugh. But the analogy I've been giving her is, I was like, just imagine, right? Let's say like you want sushi. Now you can go to the grocery store around the corner and pick yourself up a couple rolls for $5, right? And you will get your sushi. Now there's grocery store sushi, or there's Nobu, right? Like you can go to high-end restaurant, executive chef, the full experience. And I keep reminding her, I'm like, Molly, you are Nobu. You are not grocery store sushi. So guess what? That average pay that they're offering you is not good enough for you, because you're Nobu. So get the Nobu salary, not grocery store sushi.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And maybe perhaps in that vein, Shiz, to perhaps bolster the confidence in that moment is to do what you said. Again, research, find what's kind of like happening in the space, and then please don't be afraid to up the price.
Yeah. There's some great articles written more recently. It's been with talent and influencers, because it's, that's a bit different, right? There's no industry averages. You can't just go on glassdoor.com. And there's frequently, it was a great article, and it was about female influencers and the fact that they traditionally don't ask for the dollars that the males are. And so, and that's kind of where I first read that. Somebody was like, put out a number that makes you uncomfortable. And I thought, oh, I like that, right? So,
yes, yeah. I love it. And glassdoor.com is something, can you explain, you just threw that out there and I hadn't heard of it. So
yeah, so glassdoor.com, it's more corporate, I will say, but organizations in general, they have, call it, there's ratings for a company made by employees and former employees, I suppose. And they'll rate like the CEO, the culture, that sort of thing. They also list salaries. So they'll have different titles where these are self-reported, right? So granted, just take that into consideration. But it starts to, if you kind of hop around, like if there's a certain industry, you can kind of, check out a couple companies in that zone for a certain title, and you'll start to get an idea of what people are paying. So it's
Awesome.
an interesting, yeah.
That is great. Jesse, any last words in that arena?
Yeah, sure. So when I took this job, I had the luxury of different gyms kind of looking at me, and I chose to work for the person that I looked up to and respected the most. I feel like as a person within his job resume, but more about who he was as a person and what he was doing outside of his job. And so I feel like that is really important for me, is who I work for, because it drives me to want to be better at my job and to work harder because of the person that I'm working for, is that I respect him to that level, respect what he's doing, and kind of, his aspirations and what he thinks of the gym as well. And that he has a lot of trust in me. So you want to look for somebody that trusts me as much as I trust them. So
fantastic. I think that's that is a great reminder too. Shiz and Jesse, you are rock stars. I am so grateful for you today. This has been not just inspiring, it's been educational. I honestly believe that this conversation about allyship is our homework. So find somewhere that you can be an ally, and find someone who can be an ally for you. Please seek them out. Rachel's going to come back. We're going to talk about the job fair and give you the details. And me, as per normal, everybody, it's Wednesday. I'm headed out to the soccer field. So all the best. I am so grateful. Again, Shiz, we got to have like wine night or something. Let's get together sometime soon. Jesse, when I come to Chicago, I literally want to fall down in your gym like 1,000 times.
Okay, sounds good.
But not from a high distance, but from like kind of a lower one.
Yeah, just so you guys know too, they just announced it today. There's the women's episode is airing on May 9th from 7 to 9. So I'm in that episode, and so it's a women's episode. It's 12 women, and so we're competing together for $50,000. So just so you know, put that on your calendar.
Woo! Thank you very much, Rachel. Maybe you can send out a link. We can find that, Jesse, and we'll put it out. Right on, right on. Okay, everybody, peace. Rachel, thank you very much, as always, for being the introduction and the closing of this, and keeping us on track and making sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. So, I love your shirt for tonight.
NWSL.
Great job.
Yes.
All right.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Brandi, have an awesome session.
Will do.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks as always. Take care. Everyone, thanks so much again for being here with us. As Brandi mentioned, we are having a career fair on May 19th. If you're an expert and you're looking to help give some more insight to aspiring professionals, you want to be there. If you're an ally or an expert and you're trying to learn more about interviewing or best practices, or even vamping up your own skill sets when you're going out into the workforce and interacting with more individuals coming through the ranks, you want to be there. And if you're a community member, if you're someone aspiring to find a job in the game, on the field or off the field, you want to be there as well. I believe we put in the link to register. It's a save the date for now. We'll have more insight on the speakers that will be joining us, but there are some rock stars that work in this game in a multitude of facets. So get ready for some updates. If you're inside the community portal, you'll also see that on the community page for our members. Sign up, womeninsoccer.org. We are stoked to have you here at Brandi's Corner, and we will see you again next month, which, fun teaser, we have some really fantastic journalists joining us. So if you like media in the game, if you want to see more women in the game, if you want to see more media around women's sports in general, these are the women to talk to, and these are the women you want to connect with. We hope to see you again next month. Have a great night. Enjoy the Challenge Cup until then. Bye now.